Kimberly, we are live. I'm so excited. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mighty Mysteries. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am thrilled to be here with Kimberly Belle. And we're going to talk all about her brand new book, Stranger in the Lake. Yay! Ebook and paper book. Kimberly, tell us about your book.
Great. So, hi. Thank you for having me first. I'm so excited to be here. Today is the baby birthday of this little baby, Stranger in the Lake. And it is a story about a woman who she's grown up really rough. She has, her mother is a drug addict. Her father is in prison, and she's basically raised herself. And then she meets this older, wealthier man. So she marries, they fall in love, and she marries up. And despite all their differences, they're very happy until one morning she discovers a body floating in the lake behind their home. I know. And in the exact same place where her husband's first wife once drowned. So things really unravel from there, as you can imagine. But they're newlyweds, and she really has to, you know, part of her journey is discovering, like, can she really trust him? Does she really know her husband, first of all? And, you know, can she believe him, and can she trust him?
Ooh, I don't know, but I need to know. I need to know all of these things. Kimberly, how long did it take you to write this book?
So I usually somewhere around 6 to 8 months of real writing for that first draft. And it's typically a pretty strong first draft. This one took me a little bit longer because I kept getting stuck in one place and had to go back and thread in some of another point of view that helped me kind of move forward. But I kept hitting this wall. So this one probably took me about 10 months.
Wow, 10 months is fast. So that's really cool.
It feels
so
like forever.
What's that? Oh, 10 months felt like
forever.
Greetings from 6 years in. I'm still not done. Pound's head on desk. So can I gather from this that you're a pantser and not a plotter?
No, I am a hardcore plotter, which is why when I run into a story that is giving me trouble, it takes me a minute to figure it out, because I spend probably a good month or two thinking through the plot before I even sit down to write. And that's, you know, doing my proposals, putting together my outline, all those things. And so when I hit a snag, which I occasionally do, then it, like, my brain is like, does not compute. I don't understand. So I have to really take a step back from the story and rethink it and figure out why I'm having this issue.
Okay, cool. So is there some element of faith then? Did the characters lead you down a dead end and then you kept hitting that spot, and then that's why you couldn't work your way around? Or was it just confounding?
Well, it was, I was having trouble with part of the story of something that happened in the past. And, you know, you're an author, you know, you don't want to just like all of a sudden like dump it out. So I had to figure out a way to work that part of the story into the greater story, because it really influences what's happening in the present.
Oh yeah, and it's so interesting. And I think we have a lot of readers in the audience, we have a lot of writers in the audience. And so the craft of weaving in backstory is something I think we can all wrestle with, because as a reader, when it's sort of just dumped on you, you can feel that.
Yeah.
And as a writer, you don't want to just dump it on the reader.
Yeah. And structure is hard, you know, I mean, figuring out the best, I mean, I knew the story I wanted to tell, but there are multiple ways of getting there, right? And figuring out just the right structure for this particular story, that's what took me a little bit longer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this book. So Kimberly, why this book? Why now?
So I've wanted to write a story set on the lake for a while now. I live in Atlanta. I grew up in the South, and there are tons of these beautiful lakes, like at the foothills of the Appalachians and in the Appalachians. And I've visited them many times, and they're gorgeous. And they have, especially around Cashers and Highlands, North Carolina, which is where this one is set, there's this really big gulf between very wealthy and very poor, which for me gives a lot of meat to a story. And it's, you know, these gorgeous lake areas where people with a lot of money have come in and they've built all these beautiful homes and these really fancy stores and shops and restaurants. And then you have the people who've lived there for generations, like Charlotte in this story. And they're the ones who are, scrubbing the toilets and flipping the burgers. So it provides like this really nice dynamic between, very wealthy and very not wealthy that I really dug into for the story. But also, like, a lake is, especially a remote mountain lake like this one, you just know something bad's going to happen there. You don't even have to say anything. All you have to do is describe the lake, because it's like this big body of water that's just sitting there, and the story is going to take you into the water.
Okay, I'm never going to look at a lake the same way. Previously, I thought lakes were peaceful, but I felt very peaceful by the bodies of water, but not anymore, Kimberly Belle, not anymore. No, but thank you for bringing up that dynamic, because anywhere that people go for holiday, for vacation, any body of water, be it an ocean or a lake, any beach, there is always a dynamic between the people who vacation there and the year-rounders, the people who live there year-round. And there's usually a really sharp economic disparity. And I don't think that gets talked about enough. Mm-hmm. So thank you for writing about that and delving into that. I'm really excited to read that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's, it's definitely something that I have seen with my own eyes. We vacation up there. I have friends who live up that way. And so it just is really an interesting dynamic. The people who've been there for generations and generations kind of will always look at them as outsiders, the other people as outsiders, even if they were born and raised there, they're still outsiders. And so I thought, well, gosh, if I have an outsider and someone who's lived there forever, the wealthy and the poor actually fall in love and get married, you automatically have a story, right? And then throw in a dead body.
Just throw a dead body in the lake. I love it. Kimberly, tell us about your path to publication. Were you hacking your way through a jungle? Were you cruising along on a superhighway? Did this come easily to you? Was it a struggle? Walk us through that journey.
So I'm sure I'm like many other authors. I wrote a book, and then I wrote another book, and then I started on another book. But I started writing. Actually, it was the book that came out first, but it was the second book that I wrote from beginning to finish. And as I was starting that story, it's called The Last Breath, I knew that was the one. I just felt it in me. I was like, this is the one that's going to find me an agent. But we've all been in this, anybody who's an author has been in the slush pile, and it is not a fun place to be. So I figured, okay, I'm not getting anywhere with the slush pile. It's taking too long. So I started going to conferences and entering these stories in contests. And a lot of the contests have conferences attached to them. So I went to conferences and started pitching agents. And the first time I did, have you ever pitched an agent?
Not at a conference. Do you mean up on the stage, like a pitch fest?
Pretty much like a pitch fest, like where it's basically speed dating between agents and buyers. And you walk in and you sit down and you hear ding, and then you just blah, 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 you tell what it is that you're trying to pitch. And the agents have heard hundreds of these that day, and they're all like, like this. And then you hear ding, and you stand up and you go to the next table, and it's terrifying and it's awful. And I took a Xanax before I went in the room. But
so let's pause on the Xanax. So the agent's sitting there like, oh my God, I've heard 500 of these. And were you like, hello, I want to talk to you about my book? What was that?
I hope not. My agent did not say I was slurring, but she did say, I noticed you were nervous. So imagine how it would have been if I hadn't taken it.
Fair enough. We've all been there.
But what I did notice was like the slush pile was not getting me noticed, but getting in front of someone, even though I was nervous and it was obvious that I was nervous, that's what got me noticed. And I had signed, pitched to like 4 agents that day, and I had signed with one by the end of the month.
Yay! Oh, that's so awesome to know that it works. I love that.
Yeah.
So what conference was it?
Well, it was it was a local RWA contest and conference. It was called Moonlight and Magnolias. It's through the Atlanta chapter of the RWA.
And that's the Romance Writers of America.
Yes. And that was back when, like, my first two kind of straddled the line between women's fiction and suspense. And there was a little bit of romance. And that was back when RWA had like romantic elements or something. So you could officially, you know, pitch your stuff that wasn't traditional romance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but there are tons like BoucherCon and Thriller Fest both have pitch opportunities.
Yeah. So up here we have the wonderful Grub Streets Muse in the Marketplace Writers Conference, where I have been blessed to be a presenter for 7 years. And we actually have 2 different kinds of pitching there. So the first is what you said, the speed dating, where you go around. And then the second one is you submit blindly into a pile. And then it's basically like America's Got Talent, where someone reads your first page up on stage. No one knows your name. No one knows it's you. And then a panel of people critique it, a panel of agents, and say why it's working for them, why it's not working for them. And so I wasn't sure if you meant the stage one or the speed dating one. So it's good to know.
Actually, you might like the stage one better. That seems less stressful. Can they also say, hey, I won it? Can they like spin their chair around and ring a bell and say it's for me?
Yeah, so they'll say, oh my gosh, I love the idea that we should have the tables turned, although it's one person there's an actor, person on stage who reads them, sometimes quite interpretively. So it's really great. And the audience cheers, and it's really wonderful. Everybody looks forward to that. But yeah, so then at the end they'll say, okay, the person who wrote this, go talk to this agent afterward. Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah. So it's awesome to know that the speed dating worked, and that's how you got your agent within a month. And then you said your first book was your second book published.
Right. They actually ended up buying both the books that I had done at the time, which is kind of unheard of, right? But then they flipped the order because my second one needed less work. My first one needed to be basically rewritten.
So, we all get that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and she had sold them within the first year. So,
yay! That's so wonderful. And so, tell us, what is the best piece of writing advice you've ever gotten and you want to share, and the worst piece of writing advice you've ever gotten and you never would share?
Okay, so the first piece of writing advice is something I got from JT Ellison. Do you know her?
No.
She's fabulous. Anything she writes is fabulous. But she's a friend of mine, and I was talking to her about her latest book, and I can't think of the name. The Good Girl, Good Girls Lie, something like that. And I was raving about it because she broke so many rules in it, and she did so many things that I had not seen before and would never think of doing even. And I said, how did you do that? How did you get away with it? Because I read it for fun, and then I went back and I started rereading it to see how she did it. And she told me a piece of advice that she once got from Stuart Woods, and I know I'm not going to say it verbatim, but it was something like, the only rules are the ones that you create page by page.
Ooh, I love that. Love that.
Me too. She's brilliant, and I have taken that advice to heart, because if it works for your story, if you can make it work for your story, then break a lot of rules.
Yes. Yeah, so, exactly. And so that's something that you use in your books.
Yes, for sure. Moving forward, absolutely. So that's my best piece. And then the worst piece of writing advice, I think, and we were just talking about the speed of writing. And sometimes 8 months feels really long, and I'm on kind of a book a year schedule. So I kind of got to speed it up.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot about how to do that and how to, crank out works that are still going to be quality. But once I followed someone's advice and took one of those courses, like How to Write Faster, which is basically like you just sit down and you don't edit anything and you just like barf it out. onto your keyboard, and you don't even fix your spellings. You just keep going. And the goal is like, I don't know, something crazy like 10,000 words a day.
Oh my God.
But it's basically 10,000 words of steaming crap. So I decided for myself that yes, it's always a good thing to think about how you could be more efficient. I'm not going to stress about, my measly word counts per day. As long as they're good words and I want to keep them.
Exactly. And thank you so much for sharing that. Because I think there's so much pressure to write faster. No matter how fast you're writing, there is pressure to write faster. Yes. And I think we're all sort of vulnerable to that inherent and external pressure. And I think I have also heard the similar thing of, don't edit, don't censor, just barf it onto the page. And then I ended up with a big pile of barf. So.
Exactly. And I just have to be okay with the number of words that I write. And I can still write a story in 6 months if I need to. So.
Wow, you're my hero. I'm genuine.
Well,
that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that writing advice with us. What do you think is the most important element to creating a page turning, keep your reader up till 3 a.m., nail biting, I have to read just one more chapter kind of book? Tell us your secrets.
Well, there are two things that I try to do in every chapter. And the first is to end on some sort of cliffhanger that just kind of shoots you into the next chapter. I think that's, a pretty elementary, we all try to do that, right? Even if you're not writing.
Sometimes I forget, but yes.
But even if you're not writing suspense, you want the reader to want to keep going rather than never give the reader a reason to put the book down.
I like that.
And the other big one that I try to do is every chapter has to ask at least one more question, like plant a question in the reader's mind, and every chapter has to leave at least one question unanswered.
Ooh, just Kimberly Belle dropping pearls of wisdom. I can't even keep up. Already in my mind, there's so many tweetables that I'm going to have to live tweet after. I love that. And it's so true. So every chapter should ask one more question, and every chapter should leave one question unanswered to keep the readers turning the pages, keep us up at night. Yeah. I love that. That makes so much sense. And sometimes, I can honestly say I forget to do that because I'm focused on, all the other
stuff. But those are the kind of books I like to read, don't you? Like the ones where you're like, what is happening?
Yeah, exactly.
That keeps me turning the pages.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. So Kimberly, what is one book that changed your life?
Just one?
It can be more than one. No need to limit yourself.
Like fiction books or anything? Oh gosh. There are so many. Which one should I mention? Well, I remember, and this is like going way, way back.
Yeah.
I remember reading Flowers in the Attic. Did you get into those books?
I know about them. I don't think I ever read them. I think I was too scared.
Don't go back and read them because it was literally one of those things that was popular at the time. But what those books, and if you went back and read it now, you'd be like, what is this? You'd be like, why is she bringing this book up? But what that book did for me was, it was the first time I had picked up a book that I absolutely could not put down. And that for me was like, this is what I want. These are the kind of books I want to read, the kind of books I want to, back then I wasn't thinking about writing, but when I did start writing, I was like, these are the kind of books that I want to, where you just get so sucked into that story that you can think of nothing else but getting through it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, those are the best.
Yeah.
Now let's swing it back to your book. In your writer mind, do you see this book on the big screen or Netflix, as a Netflix series?
I would be absolutely thrilled with either or. I think maybe this is more a movie just because, although, I mean, I guess you could keep it going in seasons and definitely take it to the other characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for me, this book feels like the ending is the ending of this story. So I would say movie, although I really love what they're doing with TV shows now.
Right.
Some of the really exciting stuff is on TV now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like my whole life I was a movie person and then way less so a TV person. But
Yeah.
now with the limited series on Netflix
Yeah.
and Amazon and Apple TV, which I haven't even gotten into, but now I need another subscription because I got to watch the morning show with Reese Witherspoon, and then I need Hulu because I need Little Fires. So I need a lot of subscriptions to watch all these great TV series.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you mentally cast the book yet?
I have not. Well, kind of, sort of. I keep getting asked, who would you cast? And now I don't remember their names, but who's the one on Ozark? The girl with the curly hair?
Now you're putting me on the spot. Now I can't remember. I feel like I've got to Google it.
I know somebody out there watching will know her name. She's been in so much lately. But she would make a perfect Charlotte. She's got the accent down pat. I don't know if she's from the South, but she has the perfect Southern accent.
Okay.
She could totally do it.
Okay, cool. Excellent. I'm just going to see if we have any comments from the thing. People are saying, hi, Kimberly and Sarah. I love this series. Can't wait to read your book. Flowers in the Attic. Every girl in my high school read it and passed around the tattered paperback copy.
I'm telling you, people were obsessed with it. And you know what the funny thing is? I picked it up just recently and looked at it again, and I could not get past like page 10. It was just so weird.
Well, like we've got a lot of fans. Someone saying, hi from South Carolina. Andrew saying, love this book. You have another winner. Kimberly, yay. Hi from Minnesota. We've got people on from all over. Everybody, if you have any questions, nice to see you all here. If you have any questions, just drop them in the audience, drop them in the comments and we'll get right to them. Yay. Julia Garner is the actress, someone is saying.
Oh, that's it.
Thank you, Mindy. Thank you. Sharon would like to know what author gave you a review that really meant a lot to you and why?
Well, there have been so many so that's one of the things, and I'm sure you would agree, that has been such a pleasant surprise in this business is how supportive other authors are of each other.
Yes.
It is so unbelievably lovely. And we're always, talking up each other's books and writing reviews and blurbs. Mary Kubica is one who gave me one of my first. Heather Good.
Oh, let me read that to everyone. Kimberly Belle explores the shocking depths people will go to keep their secrets buried in her latest slow burn thriller, Stranger in the Lake, before building to an explosive and unexpected finale. Belle delivers with lyric prose and atmospheric, moody mysteries that will leave her fans begging for more. A must read. I can understand why you would love that.
Pitter patter.
that is the review that I think any author and any mystery author would just die to have. Let me read some more. Stranger in the Lake is a spellbinding tale of lies and deceit that unfolds piece by devastating piece. Another outstanding novel by Kimberly Belle, masterfully written to lure you in and never let you go. Oh my gosh. That's from Samantha Downing, USA Today bestselling author of My Lovely Wife and He Started It. People are saying these are great reviews, great blurbs. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Carla. Thanks, Mindy. Hi. She's saying hi from Mindy. Another one, clear your calendar, because once you've started Kimberly Belle's utterly engrossing Stranger in the Lake, you won't be able to tear yourself away. Old and new secrets abound in this tense and atmospheric thriller that will make you question how well we can really know anyone and how much we might be willing to forgive those we consider family. Oh my gosh, these are amazing. Kate White says Belle's latest is another riveting, superbly written, did not see that coming thriller that will keep you up way past your bedtime with tension building on every page. Hey, you're winning the tension building game. Charlotte digs relentlessly for the truth about her new husband, even though it may destroy everything she loves. Oh my God, these are amazing, Kimberly. Congratulations. These are so fantastic. Someone saying, I love the marriage life. Looking forward to this new one. Can't wait to read this. Thank you, Sharon. Everybody is just leaving so many nice comments. Does anyone else have any other questions for Kimberly? She's here to chat with you. Yeah.
Open book.
What's that?
I'm an open book.
She's an open book about her books. I feel like now my brain is alive with so many questions I've got to I've got to ask. How about this? Would you rather be stuck in Area 54 with Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft?
Oh God.
Area 54, for anyone who doesn't know, is the very scary place in New Mexico where there's been a lot of alien sightings, allegedly, where there's supposed to be, government has fenced it off from all the extraterrestrial scary things happening there, a lot of mystical, magical things happening. So if you had to be stuck there, who would it be?
I think Stephen King. He probably knows how to fight. Do we have weapons? Is he on my team or is he on the other team?
He's on your team. You guys are stuck there together. Sharon would like to know, do you get to choose your own covers? How about title?
So when I
tell us about that. Let's talk about this gorgeous cover. Hold it up, Kimberly. Let's see it. Tell us about the title. Tell us about the cover. Sharon, I think it's all of us asking.
So I have not had, this is book number 6, and I have not had one title that I've thought of stick. Not one.
Not one. Okay,
so not one. The closest I came was The Marriage Lie. I turned that one in. It was called The 7-Year Marriage because the story starts the day after their 7th anniversary.
Okay.
I thought that was a little too romancy sounding. So they said, let's throw in a lie, The Marriage Lie. But this I turned in as book number 6. I literally did not spend 1 ounce of energy thinking on a title because really I suck at them. And my editor is so amazing at them. And so she came up with this title. She came up with Dear Wife. And she and I just sit down and brainstorm, and I let her just say, I like this. And, here's my thoughts on titles. It's like there's a whole department at my publisher that thinks of nothing else but titles, covers, how to position it, how to market it, what color to make it, and so I kind of think they're the experts. I let them do their thing.
So same when you turn this in, does it just say book 6 or unnamed?
It literally says book number 6.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Number 7.
Okay, now you're working number 7. Yeah, because so often one of my questions, I have a sort of master list of questions that I always keep handy, although I like to see where the conversation goes organically, was this title number 1 or number 101 or somewhere in the middle? And I've never heard this answer. So this is so cool. Yeah. And it doesn't bother you. You're just like, no, I do the writing and they do the naming.
Yeah.
Tell us about the cover.
So this was not the very first concept cover that I saw, but it's close. They made the letters a little bit bigger, but it was always, a lake with a boat. And yeah, they did a great job. I just love it.
It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Heather Young, another one of our Blaze authors, our mystery authors, would like to know, are there themes that you enjoy coming back to in your books? That's a great question, Heather Young. Thank you.
I tend to concentrate on husband-wife relationships.
Okay.
Like The Marriage Life, this one, those are, I don't know why that is because I've been married forever. But I always write about these marriages that are, people who are in love, but then things go awry.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is about that theme that keeps drawing me back to it, but that's one of them. The other is secrets. I love a good secret, and how secrets never stay secret forever. It always comes out. So that's another one. I've written 2 books that have to do with domestic violence. Yeah, that's another theme.
Yeah, I think these are fascinating to all of us. I mean, right, audience? We love secrets. We love to examine the marriages and what lies beneath the surface of the lake and the marriage.
And I that's the fun of like a genre. Like I officially write domestic suspense, right? So it's, the relationships that happen in and around the home. So, familiar for everyone. We all know what it's like to have a brother, sister, father, whatever. And then when you throw in that suspense angle, then it feels like really it can hit close to home.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think maybe we should be worried if book 7 is the husband that died or the wife that killed her husband with a shovel. He might want to start worrying, and that's his Christmas present, just nothing else said in a box. Oh my gosh. Sharon would like to know, what is your favorite mystery that you've read lately?
That I've
Good
read.
question, Sharon.
I just read, here we are back to the marriage. Kimberly McCrate's, is it A Good Marriage?
I think A Perfect Marriage.
A Perfect Marriage, you're right.
Yes, she's one of our Blaze authors. That book looks amazing as well.
Yeah, and Heather Gudenkauf's latest, which is This Is How We Died. I just read that. I'm going to be talking to her tonight about it, so I'm super excited about that. But that was fabulous as well.
Heather's so nice. I interviewed her 3 weeks ago, I think, and she was so lovely, and she's so calm, and she's just, oh, I'm a teacher by day, and I was like, you're a teacher by day, and this, mystery suspense author by night. Oh my gosh. Nancy would like to know advice for others who write in your genre or cross genre. Thanks, Nancy.
Well, and this kind of goes back to the worst advice I ever got is, try when you're writing to like shut down it's so easy to, especially with social media, to be like, oh, so-and-so wrote 4,000 words today, and so-and-so sold so many thousand books today. And it can be distracting. So I guess I would say put on some blinders and just write.
That's such good advice, and it's so true. One time I was sitting on a panel at a writers conference, and one of the other panelists said, well, I treat writing like a job. So I rise at 6, I'm at my desk by 7, and I never get up before 4. And I felt like such a slacker, like a total loser, because the only time I'm up at 7 is when I'm still up. Okay, yeah. I'm a night owl, and Mama DiVello is not getting up that early and in her chair at 7. No. I like to write at night. I've always preferred to work by moonlight than sunlight, and I'll be up editing until 1 or 2 in the morning, and that's when I work best, when it's quiet and there's magical moonlight and it's still and I'm the only one up, and I love that. And I felt bad about that for years, even to the point where I would, try to make myself more like her. And 7 years later, she posted on Facebook, my muse is taking me, off of my schedule, and now I just write when the spirit flows through me. And I was like, I have been torturing myself for 7 years, feeling like a loser. And now she's doing what I do. So it's so important. Thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, Nancy, for the question. Christy's telling us it's a good marriage, not a perfect marriage. Thank you for correcting me. Kimberly McCrate's book is a good marriage, not a perfect marriage. My mistake. I apologize. Author supporting authors. Yes, Mindy, we're all about that. Sharon says, how do you have time to read so many books when you're also writing a book? Good question, Sharon.
I don't know. I read fast for one, and I always am in a book. I'm usually in multiple books, and that's how I fall asleep. That's how I relax. That's how I, pass the time when I'm sitting in the car waiting for someone. So I always have a book, and I always read, and I don't know. I that's just what I love to do.
Do you prefer paper books or ebooks?
I love them both. If I'm going to read them in bed, I like the ebooks just because then I don't have to keep the lights on. I can just, read it on my iPad. But if I'm sitting outside or at the beach or something, I want a real book.
Yes, exactly. I know, exactly. I actually have just started dipping a toe into ebooks now that there's some shipping delays. I was always a paper book girl, but now I kind of like ebooks. So I do both. I like I like
book.
both things.
I've gotten really into audiobooks.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that twice, but I need to segue into more, when I can't be, yeah, when it wouldn't be safe to be reading, like if I was driving or something.
Yeah, and they're great. And when this first hit, the pandemic first hit, I could not read. And I heard that from a lot of people. Like I just could not concentrate on a book, and words
Yes.
and read, but audiobooks, I could sit all day and listen to those. So
Oh, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah, I could not read at first either. I had the attention span of a gnat. I couldn't even watch a full movie. I could only watch these little tiny clips because things were so stressful outside.
Corona ADD.
Corona ADD, and now things, as we were talking about right before we came in here, right before we started the live, that we were living under the pandemic and thinking this is so stressful, things couldn't get worse, and then so much more has happened. So Kimberly was sharing how things are in Atlanta. I'd love for the audience to hear about that. Kimberly, how are you managing? How are you feeling mentally, physically, spiritually? How are things in Atlanta? How are you?
Yeah. So, like I said, in the beginning, it was a little stressful. And when the protests first started, we live right in the center of Atlanta, and it was really loud. The helicopters and the sirens and everything. But things have settled down now, and I actually am on deadline, so I've been using my writing as a distraction, which has been really lovely and helpful for me. The only complaint I have is that all of a sudden I have a full house. Like before, I work at home. This is my domain, and now all of a sudden it's full of my husband on the phone all day, and my daughter who brought home her puppy. And I mean, it's great. I love having everybody close, but boy, are they loud.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing also as an author writing from home, and now all of a sudden my husband is home all day, and I said to him, we had an interesting adjustment for the for the first couple of weeks, and I said, you have a very booming, loud man voice on conference calls because I hear it 10 hours a day. You're at a 10, and I need you to be about 2. So dial it down a notch. But now we're happily co-working and coexisting with my coworker.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Jennifer would like to know what author's works has been the biggest influence on your writing. Thanks, Jennifer. Great question.
Well, I don't know about influence, but I can find inspiration in pretty much any story. Recent ones, Julia Heberlin, do you guys know her? She wrote Black Eyed Susans. That's a story I could read over and over again and learn something every time I read it. Who else? The Good Marriage was actually a really good one because she did some interesting structural things. I love any of these stories that do it differently than I'm doing it and do it well, and then I read it for pleasure, and then I go back through and reread it for how they did it, take notes. J.T. Ellison is another, I can't remember, it's Good, but Goode, because that's the name of the school. I think it's The Good Girls Lie, something like that, but it's fabulous. And I literally deconstructed it to see how she did it.
Ooh, how did you deconstruct it?
I went through page by page, chapter by chapter, and I wrote them all down because it has multiple points of view. It jumps around in time. And I just kind of made an outline of how she did it and the things that I really loved about it. I'm not sure I could ever, repeat it in any way because it's brilliant. And we were talking before about plotting and pantsing. She's a pantser. And I said, how did you keep all that straight?
Right.
Yeah.
How'd she do it?
She must be the Rain Man or something. I don't know.
She is Rain Man. We solved this mystery. She is Rain Man. Yeah. No, it's that's amazing. And when I have admired books, we're getting loves and hearts for that. Thank you, everybody. when I have admired a book, I always say to myself, I'm going to deconstruct that. And I get my notebook out and I sit down and I get to the first paragraph and I will write down page 1, chapter 1, paragraph 1. And then I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen next? And I forget. I forget that I'm working because I get so sucked into that deliciousness. So that's amazing that I was asking for a friend and the friend is me. How the heck you did that? Oh my gosh. Mindy saying she had trouble, couldn't concentrate either. So many people are agreeing. Absolutely. Wow. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Thank you for telling us about your brand new, beautiful book. Hold it up one more time. We all want to see it. There it is, The Stranger in the Lake. I'm going to hold up mine as well. Here she is, Stranger in the Lake. Yes. And congratulations, happy Pub Day. We all cannot wait to read it. And I will be posting, we will be posting links to Kimberly's book in bookshop.org, which means you support local indie bookstores, which we love. So let's do that as well. Oh, Mindy says, you are both so fun to listen to. Thanks, Mindy, brand new friend. Come hang out with us anytime, Mindy. Yay! Kimberly Belle, you are lovely, and I love that dress. I love flowers. I'm a gardener, so that is perfect. Everyone is saying thank you. This was so great. Kimberly, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Happy Pub Day, and I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you next time on Mighty Mysteries.